All right, well, here we go. I'm sharing my screen. This is how to help students demonstrate mathematical thinking with technology. You being a third grade teacher fits perfectly into this grade band, so I'm glad that you found this offering. My name is Rachel Fruin. I'm joining you from the Chicagoland area. I was a high school math teacher for 15 years, and then a couple years ago transitioned to educational consulting. And anytime I have the opportunity to talk about math and math tools, I get very excited. So this is a fun session for me to facilitate. This offering is brought to you by Dell Technologies and Advanced Learning Partnerships through Operation Connectivity and the ongoing initiative to get more devices into students' hands, particularly last year with remote learning. A little bit about Advanced Learning Partnerships. These are our values, really centered around trust and people, realizing opportunity, and serving with gratitude. All right, so in this session, the intention is to learn how to engage students in any setting with best practices in elementary math education using appropriate digital tools, and then to be able to use strategies and tools to help students communicate their mathematical thinking. And while we're focused on digital tools, really these ideas are meant to serve students whether they're in the classroom or not. And I think a lot of these activities would lend themselves nicely to using iPads in the classroom. All right, so we started off about a year ago, a little over a year ago, asking that question when we were forced to go remote for the first time. How do you do math on devices? And so that's been a big question over the past year. Some of the initial answers were to assign problems from a workbook or textbook, have students take a picture. We also see software that facilitates students being able to do math and get immediate feedback, and some of those programs are really effective. However, that type of engagement that you were talking about as we were getting started is not found in these answers. So we don't want to just do something with a computer that we could do with pencil and paper. We want the computer to help engage more, help make the learning deeper. And so that's really what we want to talk about. When we think about what a math class looks like, oftentimes you see collaboration, you hear students thinking out loud. You can tell students are problem solving because they're erasing and rewriting, and you can see their iterations. We also think of critical thinking and students justifying their reasoning. And there's so much interaction between students and teachers and peers that you can know and tell that a student is learning. So we want technology to provide those opportunities. So NCTM has 8 effective math teaching practices. I really wanted this session to be grounded in best teaching and math practices. So the 4 things I've highlighted have to do with students engaging and demonstrating their thinking in deep ways. So part of that comes from what questions we ask to get them to respond in deep ways. But then the second part of that is their response can be deeper and better using technology. So we're going to talk about how to elicit and use student evidence of student thinking. All right, so the prompts I'm going to demonstrate for you today, these prompts could be used in person or asynchronously. They could be used in the classroom. They could be used with or without technology. But I wanted to use these prompts as a foundation for doing some math together during this session. Have you seen any of these titles? They're all free websites that have content, math content and Gradeband specific tools and questions that we can ask students to get them thinking on a deeper level. Are you familiar with any of them?
No, those are the website?
Yeah.
And it's free?
Yeah, they're all free websites and they all have question prompts. And I'll demonstrate some of them for us today. So they're really cool, and many of them you can explore by grade level, or you could say, I want something with geometry, and then find all the things about shapes. So they're really cool resource. And like I said, definitely feel free to bookmark this slide deck so you can come back to these resources later. So have you heard of the tool Desmos? Desmos. Okay, great. Well, I'm so excited because it's such a cool math tool. It was a tool created for math. It started off as a graphing calculator, but it has morphed into an activity builder and a ton of other cool activities. And so there actually exists on their website tons of activities that teachers have created. Again, you can search by content, you can search by topic, you can search by grade level. So I'll demonstrate some of them for you.
Okay.
So one of the free question prompts I was talking about is called Which One Doesn't Belong? And the idea is that you see 4 choices and you have to analyze and think to yourself which one you think doesn't belong. So to facilitate that with Desmos, I have the link hyperlinked. When you go to Desmos, you can create a class for your students so that you can make sure that they sign in and you can see who's in the class. For our purposes today, we can continue without signing in. It'll still ask for your name, but it doesn't track information like your email or anything. And so this is just like one question prompt that I created. And the idea is that you would look at this image and decide which box do you think doesn't belong. So you take the blue dot and you drag it, and then it'll ask you to tell you why you picked a certain box. So are you able to access this link, this which one?
Let me try it. Which one doesn't belong? Yes.
Great. I'm going to stop sharing and let you fill in that prompt, drag the blue dot, and then you can type your answer for why you picked the box that you picked.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to show you what the teacher dashboard looks like. So you could see from your end what you would be doing to demonstrate this with the class. So you would do this as a whole class discussion. And when students submit their answers, you can see the question populate. So if I go back to the summary here, I can see all the students who have logged in. I could click on a particular student to see their response, or I could click on the question, and this is called an overlay. So you can see all the answers superimposed on top of each other. A student will see 3 random student responses. And you can anonymize this, so it actually replaces student names with mathematicians and scientists. So if you don't want students to know who said what, that's a great feature. And I wanted to show you this. I've done the same which one doesn't belong with a bigger group of participants. So here's what the overlay looks like. And then you can have a really interesting discussion about, oh, it's interesting, one person picked this box. You know, why do you think they did pick this box? And it's a cool question prompt because there is a reason for each box. And so everybody has an entry point into solving the problem. It doesn't exclude any students who might have been struggling with the previous night's content or anything like that. It gives students a chance to justify their reasoning, and it gives all students a chance to participate. I always think if you ask students to raise their hand, only one student can talk at a time. But if they all have devices and you're showing this on the screen, everybody can be typing and sharing their response and contributing to the conversation, even if they don't raise their hand.
Great.
If you're interested in this activity builder, you go to teacher.desmos.com. I'm already logged in. Let me see what happens if I sign
So
out.
do I need to create a account or it can be linked to Google?
You have to create an account. Oh, but you can link it to Google. So if you click create free teacher account, then you can click sign in with Google. And so within there, you can search for activities. So if you wanted to search for an activity maybe about fractions, it gives you a ton of different results about fractions. And there's different featured collections. So if you're ever interested in like, what are the most popular activities, on the left-hand side, there is the most popular categories. They also have like bundles if you wanted all of the activities related to linear functions, which is not a third grade topic, but they have 10 activities listed there that you could use.
Okay, so for participants, they don't have to have an account. They can just sign in, without sign in, and then they can just put their name like I did, right?
Right.
Okay.
And if you wanted, so let me sign in. So I go to my activity history. Let's see. This is the one we're working on. Let's see if I can get back out here. So you have some different options. It's just gonna go straight in there. You can give students a class code and they just type it in. You could give students the hyperlink. You can also create your own class. So you could have all of your students within a class, so you know who's participating and who's not.
Okay.
Other questions?
I think the answer is no, but is there a team mode?
A team mode? Like for Microsoft Teams or for like doing things?
So like, because right now I use Kahoot a lot. And then when they play Kahoot, because like I said there, they have to share device. So so in Kahoot, there is a team mode that they can put both like 2 or 3 names on one answer device.
That makes sense. There's not like a specific, like where you can enter separate names. That when they log in without signing in, they could type both names.
Yeah, okay.
But it doesn't specifically ask them to do that.
Okay. Oh yeah, so yeah, they can do Eileen and whatever. And they'll answer. Okay.
So I have a few more Desmos activities to share with you. Let me go back. Oops. I have to reshare. Okay, this is an interactive activity with Desmos. It's called Desmos Polygraph. If you ever played the childhood game Guess Who, you ask yes or no questions to eliminate possibilities. Same idea, you can continue without signing in. It asks for your name. Every student's going to get the same prompt. So this is a practice round. You can have students skip the practice round, which we'll do right now. The idea is that the computer will demonstrate for you how to ask yes or no questions. Does your character wear glasses? Does your character have stripes on their shirt? But we can skip the practice round and get into the game. So I'll have you, it takes 2 people, and the computer will, if you have more than 2 people, the computer will automatically match you up with a partner within the game.
Mm-hmm.
And this was this Desmos Polygraph link from the slide deck.
So when they partnered up, it will randomly choose whatever also signing with the same code that you give it to them.
Yep.
So should I?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, sorry, I should have said that. You should, yeah, go ahead and sign in so that we get partnered together.
Okay, so let me go back to.
All right, so you and I have different screens and we won't be able to see, I mean, I'm screen sharing, so you could look at my screen, but in theory, in the classroom, if you have students on different devices, they can't see what the other screen looks like. So we both have the same 16 cards and 16 clocks. I'm gonna be the picker, so I'm just gonna pick a clock that's special to me. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing so you can't see what I pick. It's a secret. Okay, and then you're going to ask yes or no questions to try to guess which time I picked.
Okay, so is the time, let me see.
And you're going to type them into the box.
Oh, okay. Oh, I don't know. What should I ask? It's the time.
Okay, so I have 3 buttons. I'll screen share so that you can see. So if you say, is the time greater or less than 6 o'clock? Yes, no, or I'm not sure. So I'm going to click I'm not sure because I don't know if you mean greater or less than.
Oh, yeah, because I can only. Oh, gotcha. Because you can only answer yes or no.
Yeah.
So I cannot ask again?
You can.
Go on without eliminate. So I can select card to eliminate based on your partner's answer.
If I had said yes, then you would have, or no, and like you knew which clocks to eliminate, you could cross them off. So then you're like whittling it down to get to the last clock.
Okay, so I'll just do random. I can do more than 2, more than 1.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just randomly. Okay.
Well, okay. So what happened is, I'm going to screen share to show you what happened. Since you couldn't tell like if it was greater than or less than 6 o'clock, and you were just like randomly eliminating them, this is the one that I had picked, 2:30. So if you had asked like, is it greater than 6 o'clock? I would have said no. And then you could have eliminated all the ones that were greater than 6 o'clock.
Gotcha. That's cool.
It makes you think, right? Like it seems like it's gonna be like a easy game. Like, oh, just yes, no questions. But then students really have to think about what yes or no questions they're gonna ask and how they're gonna ask them. Let me switch to my other screen so that you can see the teacher side of things.
Okay.
So you can make your own polygraphs. You need 16 images, or there's like that clock one already existed, and I just pulled it from their bank of activities. Let's go to this screen.
And if I have a odd number of the students, will that person
will be sitting in the waiting room.
In the waiting room?
Yeah. So they'll just like, it'll just be spinning until
waiting for the partner.
Waiting for their partner. Okay. Yeah. When the game ends though, it automatically like shuffles them around and gives them new partners. So if somebody's waiting, then they'll be matched with the first person back into the waiting room.
Can you set a timer for the activity, or it has to be?
No, but let me show you this. So let me go to, this is where we were. So this is the teacher dashboard. I can see all the games, so I can see the questions that were being asked. And it'll say like a green check mark if the students guessed it correctly. And there is a pause class feature. So if we were playing, like the computer, all the devices freeze when you click pause class. So if you wanted to have a class discussion and say like, hey, what do you think of this question? How could we make this question better? How would you answer this question? Or like any ways to deepen the dialogue. Or if you need to give new directions, you can pause the class.
Okay.
So that's not necessarily a timer, but it is kind of a way to manage. You can also manage the games as they're going along. If you wanted to stop a pair of students' games or something like that. And same, you have the anonymized feature again too. So you could just, if you didn't want students to know who their partner is, because sometimes in the classroom, they start to yell across the room like, hey, the answer is yes or no. And so if it's anonymous, they don't know who they're playing against.
Interesting.
And this is like the same thing when you go to teacher.desmos.com, you're like that login, if you create an account, goes to all the same activities. So if you just wanted to search for polygraph, that's the name of the Guess Who game, then all the different polygraphs that exist will pop up. And if you like created a polygraph, you could share it with your colleagues. You can share it with anybody who you want. So you don't have to use pre-made activities, and you can share them with other people. And that's like, I know a lot of teachers actually just search the web for Desmos activities because not everything that everybody creates lives in Desmos. So like I created personal activities for my students. And I could post that activity on the web and other teachers could find it, but they can't necessarily find it, but just by searching in Desmos. The activities that you find in Desmos are like super curated by Desmos. They want to make sure like only the best of the best lives on their website. But there's like a ton of good activities if you just Google. Probably if you Google like polygraph for 3rd grade, you get some good results.
How can you create your own?
Okay. So you go to custom. And then up here, new activity would be like that which one doesn't belong I demonstrated to you. And then new polygraph. And you would title it. start building. Okay, so you want to build in these cards. And so let's see. You have to have like 16 images on your computer. So, and you're a third grade teacher. Do you teach other things besides math?
Math and writing.
Okay. So you could use this for writing too. It doesn't just have to be a math tool. If you were teaching about verbs and had like 16 different verbs, if you had images of those words, you could pull them in here too. So it's cool that way. So what you want to do is put images into each of these squares. So if you go to, let's see.
Oh, okay.
Now I forget how to add an image. There is a YouTube video. Oh, here, this plus. You want to add an image. So then it'll like pull from your pictures. I'm just going to do random pictures here. And you can, you don't have to show the axes, like, because it's a math tool, they automatically have the grid there, but you can turn the axes off. So that would be my one image. Then I would click on the next and go to the plus and find another image. And then, go to the next one, add another image, etc. And then that's your suspects. I don't think it'll let me continue until I have 16. And then details is just like if you wanted to add a description or a title or something like that.
Okay, but you have to add 16. Can
you have to add 16.
16. Okay.
I guess if you wanted fewer, you could just add like, so I could, if I just add like a dot, it's a kind of a little bit of like computer programming, but I just put a dot there and then I can go to the next one and, so you could add like a white picture that's totally blank, or you could add just like a dot or something and move on to the next one. If you only wanted like 8 images or something.
Okay. Great.
Any other questions about that one?
No, that's a very great tool to
It is.
students talking, because most of the time I feel like is the teacher is doing all the talking, and then that would be a great tool to let them start talking about math and also being engaging. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna use that.
I've talked to elementary teachers whose students ask to stay in from recess to do polygraph. They're like, can we do that polygraph? Like, sure. Like they don't realize they're talking about the content and like they're just playing a game. And I like how they're playing against each other and not the computer.
Yeah. Great.
So I had some other non-Desmos activities to show you today. Let me get back to my slide deck. So we had talked about the different math prompts at the beginning, and I had shown you those websites. So this is called Maths Venns. It's plural because it's a British website. But the idea is that you have to fill in this Venn diagram. So you think of a number that could belong in each region. So if it's in A, it has to be in the green circle, so it's bigger than 6, but it's not in the red circle, so it's not smaller than 30, and it's not in the blue circle, so it doesn't end in 2. So then you have to fill in each of these. So the way I've digitized this is to use Jamboard. Have you used Jamboard before?
Yep.
Okay. So I've got a couple of examples with Jamboard. One is if you're doing this as a whole class and everybody can edit the same jam, then you could tell students like answer at least one of these regions. So it gives students flexibility, because if they figure out A, but they can't figure out other ones, like the whole class is going to be contributing to this. So they could answer in any way they wanted. If they wanted to create another sticky, or if they wanted to do a text and say like bigger than 6 and bigger than 30. So like 31 would work for A. But then you can also get students adding multiple answers. If somebody says 31, you're like, what's another number that could work for 6? And so someone might, or for A, someone might say 43. So that students can be learning from each other. If somebody couldn't figure out A and they know 31 is true, then they can think like, what's another number like 31 that could be true? And so you can have them contributing. They could also just type in the sticky if they open it up. And I don't even know what the question is, so I'm just making up numbers now. If they click save, then that number could be there. Or if students want to respond with a pen, they can do that. So that's one way I have of solving this problem. And that would be if you're having a whole class discussion, they could see each other's responses. But then I also was thinking about how we could do this asynchronously. It's the same question, but on this Jamboard, I assigned each student to a page. So first page, student A, second page, student B. So they're all doing their own work, but they can see each other's responses. And you can tell them like, you can't have all of the same answers as somebody else. So that'll make them think a little bit for themselves. Another idea is you could give each student their own jam and they get multiple attempts. So what I found with this Math Venn activity is that I can't do it without making the mistake the first time around, because there's like so many things that you have to keep in your head. So I have them do attempts, like don't erase it, keep it there, and then go on to the next slide and show me how you improved. Like this one can't end in 2 because it's outside of the blue circle. Well, show me your process, show me what you're learning, and then I see you pick 13. So that works. So you could do it a couple different ways like that if you wanted to keep it asynchronous. And I will say this about the Math Venns. The website is mathsvenns.com. It's also on the slide deck. But there are 2 circle Venns instead of 3. So that might be a good way to start, because you have fewer options for your students. Like teach them what it is first before, because this can be overwhelming. Even if the concept isn't too difficult. Any questions about that?
Let me go see if I can go to this website.
It's I'm showing it on my screen. I don't know if you're looking at this one.
So did you create this Venn diagram where it's pre-made from that website?
It's pre-made from that website.
Okay, let me see.
And the Venns on the website are searchable. The topics, because it is British, sometimes they sound a little bit funny. But like if you went to number and you wanted to do something with fractions, then you can see all of the categories that come up, and there's a whole bunch of 2 circle ones that you could pick from. And so yeah, I just screenshotted the Venn and pasted it into the Jamboard.
Okay, yeah, this one is much for our kiddos.
Yeah.
Venn diagram. Yeah.
I think that your 3rd graders could do the 3, but they just probably need to build up to it to start off with, like to understand what it is and to try to think about all the regions. I also find it to be a really good verbal activity, where a group activity. So it might be helpful that your students are sharing devices, because it's one of those activities that gets really loud, because you're thinking, you're like, oh, I think A could be 1/4. And then somebody's like, no, you have to think about blah, blah, blah. So they really do get interactive and engaged with it.
Great.
The last tool I was going to talk about is Flipgrid. Do you use Flipgrid?
Oh, yes, we did.
Okay, great. Did your students do Flipgrid like just their faces talking, or did they use any of the features like whiteboard or background?
Yeah, we use that.
Okay, cool. The math problem I was going to demonstrate with Flipgrid is called open middle. Have you heard of that before? Okay, so this is the example. The directions are to use digits 1 through 9 at most one time each. Place a digit in each box to make a true statement. So it's very open-ended, but it gets students thinking, because you don't want them to be repeating numbers. And it's cool because every student can have different answers and still be correct. So they have that opportunity to justify their reasoning. Open Middle is an example of a website that you can search by grade level. So you could search number in operation, and they've got a bunch of different types of examples, but they'll give you these boxes, and some of the prompts are different, like a product that's as close to 500 as possible. And it gets interesting because you can't repeat at most one time each. So you can't repeat digits, and students have to think deeply about that, which is cool.
Yeah.
So I have a few more examples that I could show you from Desmos if you're interested in that, or if you're interested in talking about any of these other websites just with the problems. I'd be happy to talk about those too. Do you have a preference in our last 5 minutes?
I want to see Would You Rather math.
Okay. Yeah, Would You Rather math has some prompts that are pretty cool. It gives students, let's see, I'll pick 3rd through 5th grade, and it gives students these prompts, and they have to choose and justify their reasoning. So would you rather receive a gift of $1.50 for every month of your life, or a nickel for every day? And I mean, there isn't necessarily a right answer, because we don't know what that student's life expectancy is going to be. And it's interesting to see, like, students will choose, like, I want to get more money right now, or I want to get more money more frequently. So it's an interesting conversation, but there's a whole bunch of them. Some of them do have
a lot of Would You Rather, and then most of the time I need to start from scratch. I need to find a picture and put all that stuff, but that would be a great resources for me.
Yeah, you could probably, I mean, like, there's the 3rd through 5th grade section, but I bet you could branch out below and above this section too if you did them frequently enough. But yeah, it's a pretty cool tool, resource. So yeah, I would encourage you to take a look at the resources in the slide deck, teacher.desmos.com. Check out Desmos. They have a lot of free webinars. So if you are interested in getting into it, you can look out for them teaching how to do Desmos. And then in the fall, we'll be offering some Desmos specific webinars. So if you're interested in learning more about Polygraph or more about the activity builder, I'm going to facilitate some of those sessions as well. So there'll be more opportunities.
Love it. So last question. So
yeah,
I'm definitely going to start training my student how to play Desmos. So would you recommend that I should create a class with a list of students instead of letting them? Would I be able to pull like a report?
Yeah, Yeah, you can see, like, if you have your class, then you can see when
Like
students are absent or not participating, versus like if you just give them the class code, you only see who logs on, versus your whole class will show you like who didn't log on in addition to who logged on.
Okay, and there's no limit of like how many classes I can create or how many students?
No, that's what I love about Desmos is it is a completely free tool. So some of the other websites like Pear Deck and Nearpod, you can do cool stuff to an extent. And then there's like the paid version, which is like,
why?
Yeah. Desmos is like all about being all free. So it's pretty cool.
Okay. Love it.
Awesome.
Explore this.
Well, my contact information is on the bottom of the slide deck too. So if you have any questions, definitely feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to continue to help you.
Oh, great.
Do you have any other questions?
No, it's very informational. And then, yeah, you have everything that I am just ready for my next school year for new other resources.
Cool.
So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining. And I hope that you get some good time to relax this summer. It's been a crazy school year and you deserve a break.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll see you in some other DTLN sessions.
Sure. Do I need to do a survey for you? And then
I do have a survey link at the bottom, so you can click on that survey, and you'll automatically get a certificate of completion for participating in this session. So there's nothing you need to do for that.
Okay, let me just check. I have this. Okay, got it. I see it. Okay, no problem. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Eileen. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.